And this Hangout on Air is live. Hello, everyone.
Yay! Now I'm gonna hit this music.
Well, no. You got to let me do the thing because I'm not even recording.
Oh, okay. You should probably go and do the other thing to record.
Okay, I pushed the record button. Are you ready?
Yes, I am ready.
In 3, 2.
This is the Misdirected Mark Podcast, a show about gaming, game mastering, and entertaining you. We are explicit and you have been warned. And I'd like to thank Mike Willard for letting us use his music on our show. If you'd like to hear more of this song and others, check out the link in the show notes. And with that, I will say, let's get on with it.
And welcome to the Misdirected Mark Podcast. My name is Chris.
And I'm Phil.
And this week on the show, well, we're going to talk about things. I don't know how important they are compared to some other things that have gone on in the world, but there'll be an extra dimensional entertainment emporium thing.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, there'll be a game room, I think.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, maybe a garage where we talk about skill challenge thingies.
Blah, blah, blah.
And then we're going to take a stroll over to the bar to talk about Age of Ultron. Yes, Age of Ultron.
And Chris,
yeah,
I think we are being watched.
Yes, we are being watched because we are now. Hi, everybody. You can watch us on the YouTubes for real because, you know, there's cameras and stuff.
On the off chance that you can't listen to the podcast, but could actually watch video, by all means, you can now, you can now check us out on Hangouts on Air. That's me checking my phone.
Yeah, me too.
There's no hiding it now.
No.
Now we're on Hangouts on Air.
Yeah, it's crazy. This is episode 155, take 2, because the first time we had some technical difficulties, and then I had to resort to dropping episode 10 last week.
Yeah, we don't know what happened. We didn't do anything different with the rig, but it was weird. We were losing like seconds chunks of audio.
Yeah, and a show them like, man, we're running really long. And Phil turns to me and it's like, we've only been recording for like an hour and 12 minutes. I'm like, that doesn't feel right.
Yeah, in true time versus what recorded was probably different.
Yeah.
And it came on pretty quick. Like it happened within the first 20 minutes. So not a lot we could salvage.
Yeah, after 22 minutes, it started doing that cutout thing.
Yeah, we were thinking like, oh, maybe we could salvage a chunk of the show, and but no, nothing was salvageable. So actually, I think what was really interesting was that's episode 10.
Yes, that was episode 10.
Like I thought I was on later in the show. I didn't realize I was on as far back as episode 10.
Yeah, and I actually, having now thought about it a little bit, I remember I was the impetus for that. I'm like, Mark, we should start doing like interviews and stuff. And there's this guy named Phil who lives in Western New York, and he's one of the writers from the Gnome Stew. I bet if I went and asked him, he could do it.
Yeah, and the irony of the whole thing is that I came out to record that. You were at UB with Mark, and I came out to record that, and I was on my way to go see the Avengers.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy. Like I was like, it's like that long ago, like the last time there was an Avengers movie.
Yeah. So, I mean, and we're going to be talking about Age of Ultron tonight. So that's even funnier. And then the other thing I had a good laugh at was I was talking about a corporation campaign that I was just starting to run.
Yeah.
That thing was dead on arrival, like in 3, like, I don't even think it made it 3 sessions. It was dead. And it wasn't much longer after that like my whole departure from that game group and hooking up to play Underground with you and stuff like that like all happened not long after the recording of that episode, and that like started all the gears in motion that led to you and I on the podcast, encoded designs, like all that stuff like started right there on episode 10. So that's just pretty wild.
Yeah, it's I don't even, listening to that, it was funny just how some things change and how some things never change.
Yeah,
like the workshop bumper is still the same. Apparently the rapport that we have is still the same.
Yeah, the freeze though, I wasn't too familiar with the freeze.
Yeah, the freeze was the geekery before the geekery,
the proto geekery or something. Yeah.
So Phil, man, what is going on
for the past 2 weeks?
Now that we're here in the lobby with our fezzes and our smoking jackets, unless of course you're watching the video.
Tassel to the left.
To the left.
And so now 2 weeks have gone by, but my 2 weeks actually weren't radically different.
Still busy.
Yeah, I'm on site deploying this new data center. It is super busy. It's a lot of fun, but it is it's using up. I mean, it uses up the whole day, but it uses up so much mental energy that when I come home, I'm like more drained than I normally am. So I haven't been playing a lot of different games, and we're getting ready. There will very soon be an announcement for a Kickstarter for Part-Time Gods of Fate.
Yep.
So we rallied to get all the beta playtest materials done, because I believe how it's going to work is when you sign up for the Kickstarter, you're going to get the entire beta packet.
That's the idea, I think.
So that's the rules. 180 pages of 187 pages of laid out rules.
Yep.
You're going to get an adventure, 4 pre-gen characters, as well as a blank character sheet and a blank territory sheet.
Yes.
So you actually have everything you need to start playing.
Mhm.
I think actually you'll need the Part-Time Gods book and access to some version of Fate Core,
which is on the internet for free.
Yeah, you can go to drive through and
pay what you want, or use this SRD.
Exactly. So anyway, that's been it. Like it just and we had Mother's Day, so that was that was a thing.
So guess what I did for Mother's Day?
Did you play games?
No, I took my mom to see Age of Ultron.
Nice. I took my son to see Age of Ultron because my wife and my daughter went and got mother and daughter pedicures.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, so I took Dante to go see Age of Ultron. That was the least I could do, kind of thing.
The least I could do.
But he loved it, so that was that was really good.
Was he like, oh my god, this is the most amazing thing I've ever seen?
He definitely dug it. He thought it was very cool. Plus, we watched the previews for movies, coming up. So he's sure he doesn't want to see The Last Witch Hunter. Like, I think that would look too scary for him.
I didn't see a preview for that one.
Oh, the Vin Diesel one?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good. And then we saw the preview for Pixels.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, Dad, I want to see this. I'm like, good, because I'm totally going to see it. But I did tell him we're going to see it in 3D.
It's so depressing because it's
all
Adam
80s.
Sandler and Kevin James.
I don't even care. It just and what's his face from Game of Thrones?
Dinklage, Peter Dinklage.
Yeah, he's in it. I mean, like, there's a whole bunch of people in it. I don't care how stupid it is. It's got 80s video games. I was an arcade rat growing up as a kid. I totally want to see it.
I hope it doesn't suck. I want it to be good.
Sure, it's gonna suck to some degree, but what can you do?
Not much. Just enjoy the fact that there's Pac-Man on screen.
Yeah. So what about you? What stuff have you been doing the last?
Yeah, this is a little different, I guess. So
yeah, don't look at the notes.
I guess I could look at this a little bit. Like, Age of Ultron is still going on.
That's still a thing.
It's still a thing. We've been working diligently on that Part-Time Gods of Fate.
We did a lot of work.
Yeah. This Just In, which is not This Just In from Gen Con anymore. It's been rebranded to This Just In after talking to a lot of people.
It's gonna go convention to convention, right?
Yeah, and try to be more of a weekly or bi-weekly show on top of that.
Ooh.
So after talking to some of the sponsors and whatnot, they're just going to rebrand it as This Just In.
So who's involved in that?
Mark Reed from Heroic Journey Publishing.
Okay.
He's the guy that's sort of the mastermind behind that. Wayne Humfleet is part of the team.
Wayne, yes.
Yep. I'm also helping. The guys over on Gaming and BS gave us a nice shout out today.
Oh yeah.
So thanks, guys, even though you keep sabotaging our show.
I have to do something to my phone because my phone does not get that episode until like 4:00 in the afternoon.
Yeah, neither do I.
Oh, you just listen to it immediately?
Yeah, I was.
Oh.
So this is how much I enjoy Gaming and BS, right? I was listening to Fear the Boot. And I was like, oh, look, Gaming and BS. So I stopped Fear the Boot and listen to Gaming and BS.
By 4:00, I'm home. So I can't listen. I can't listen to an episode at home and actually hear what's going on with the kids running around. So I have to listen to it in the morning. But like I had like no podcasts left. I actually went and got like the first episode of the 187. What is it? The 17 Design podcast.
Yeah, 17 Design.
I was gonna say 187, but that's that's
another question came out today
on Cyberpunk.
Yeah,
Rocker Boy. Rocker Boy, Sean.
No. You can now see me shaking my head at you.
I like that there's a video component to this. I don't know who's ever going to watch it. For all we know, it's just going to sit there, floating in the ether without anyone seeing it.
That's true.
Maybe somebody will be curious and be like, oh, I don't know, let me see these two. And then they'll look and they'll be like, yeah, that's kind of exactly what I thought. Like,
yeah, just two dudes in a basement.
Two gamer dudes in a basement.
Yeah.
It is exactly what you think it is.
But if you ever want to see what our setup looks like, you can see it now.
Yeah, we should brag about the tangle of wires that we've spread all over. Have you seen like Sean's on Gaming and BS? Like I was on a hangout. We were both on that hangout, and he's got it like all shored up and stuff. Like this for those watching the video, this is my gaming table. Yes. So this gear comes off and we play games on this table. And then during the rest of the week, this is where my wife folds laundry.
Mhm.
So Chris can attest to this. There are times you come downstairs and there's laundry stacked up on the table that needs
Yep.
to get whisked upstairs.
Accurate.
So this is very multi-purpose.
Mhm.
And tonight it is housing all of our gear.
Oh, but I was talking about this just in. If you would please, if anybody out there would like to just throw like $5 at that, I'd appreciate it. That was that me? What the heck?
No, it might be me.
Oh, okay.
I got that.
But yeah, I'd appreciate that. Anything there, it's a paying gig for me, so that's one thing. Also, like, I think this is just an important thing that should exist.
Tony's asking, how live is this feed? Yeah, right now.
And with that, we will move on to the next thing. Game Spotlight. And it was going to be one thing, but that got canceled, so it's not going to be that thing anymore.
Let's talk about the QCC.
It funded
And it cleared a couple of its stretch goals.
Yes, we will have. Well, not we. We're not actually working on it.
Well,
But
we will, because we're going to attend.
Well, we will be there. But Kurt Covert. That's Kurt with a K.
Yep.
Or not with a K. Kurt with a C.
Yes.
That was a big hugabaloo, I guess, that his name was spelled wrong on the Kickstarter this entire time.
Yikes.
Yeah. So whoops. Kurt with the C. Covert will be there from Smirk and Dagger Games, and Andy Hopp will be coming in from Ohio. The Mother Oath Creations man himself.
Andy's awesome.
He is a really, really cool guy.
I've met him a few times at Con on the Cob. He is just like, he's normal and weird at the same time.
Yes.
Like, he has weird, but then he's like totally normal.
He's just a dude.
Yeah. And he's a dad because like his kids are at the con.
Mm-hmm.
Like every now and then he's like, wait, I gotta stop being, ringmaster of the convention and handle, and deal with my child for a second.
His wife is an excellent cosplayer too.
Oh yeah. 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 Good stuff. So yeah, I'm psyched. Andy's going to come up, and actually had Walt Chanowski, one of my fellow gnomes and my co-author on Odyssey,
Mhm.
and one of the co-authors on my upcoming book, to be unnamed.
Ooh.
He has family in the Buffalo area, and he's like, hey, sell me on the QCC. I'm like, Walt, get out here.
Yeah, just come on out.
I'm like, first of all, I'll convince Arcadian then to come up, because
Yeah.
if Walt's here, like once you get a couple gnomes
Well,
together,
then we just
and Angela's here,
get Angela to come out this way. Yeah.
yeah, like once a couple gnomes get
She's
together,
a listener. Hi, Angela. Good to talk
Oh
to
yeah,
you.
hi Angela. Once you get a couple gnomes together, the gravity starts to pull all
The
like,
more
available
gnomes come.
Yeah, so that would actually be awesome. Walt's a blast. And I told him, of course, we could get all manner of buffalo cuisine. He was like, oh, we could get wings. I was like, yeah, I know just where to take you.
Yes.
I'll take you where we took height.
Yep.
So, yeah, good stuff.
So that's our game spotlight, because the other thing is not a thing anymore. It got canceled, so I'm not going to talk about it.
Yeah, so let's not talk about that.
So with that, it's doing the thing again.
It's throwing up stuff, and I mean, luckily, it doesn't look like anything weird.
Just gems
and
coins
and copper pieces.
Copper pieces.
I love copper pieces.
We actually have this giant copper piece collection, but we can't use it because it's from somewhere else.
Because it's the copper piece collection.
I have a theory though.
What's
Right.
that?
You know how Brent knows everything that comes through this thing?
Yeah.
I feel like he's the one that's sending some of the stuff at us.
It's possible that they're messing with it. Maybe the stuff is coming through from Wisconsin.
Yeah, I mean, he knew what the Ioun stone was that's floating around your head.
Yeah, his knowledge of the treasure table is fast.
Do you think it may be part of that Canadian spy plot?
You got to be careful with that. You're going to get those guys angry. We already had one show fail because you said they were from Canada when they're not.
I mean, they live in Wisconsin.
They
I
live
understand
in Wisconsin. Cheese, beer, D&D,
but that doesn't mean they're not spies for Mo Tusino.
and Packers. Yeah.
The Packers are in Wisconsin. I like how you're just like staying neutral about this whole thing, where I am freaking out about it.
I am staying neutral.
Yeah, okay, that's
because
fine.
that's what I do. I'm the diplomatic one. Chris is the inflammatory one.
So speaking of Brett,
yeah. Oh, so he answered my question. I was talking about the Jester NPC class.
Yes.
And asked where it was from. And he knew that it was from issue 60 of Dragon magazine, and it was in Best of Dragon #4. For you youngins who don't remember the old days of Dragon magazine, there used to be a thing that would come out called Best of Dragon, where like the coolest articles, and basically they were the classes and things like that, were compiled into these best ofs, and they were sold separately. And there were like my two favorites was Best of 4, which I believe had the silver cover. Best of 3 had a gold cover, and they had some of the coolest classes that weren't in the game, including the duelist, which I thought was very awesome.
Mhm.
But Brett did remember the jester and said that he recalled that one player was allowed to play this class in an old Greyhawk game, and it was fun for about 5 minutes, and then everybody wanted to kill that guy after that. So kill him with their character sheet, and that is absolutely true. The jester was a completely obnoxious class.
So the next thing was I had brought up using things in your games that weren't just straight up adventure type gaming, like other themes, love stories, stuff that you might not typically associate with D&D, even though that stuff, it permeates stories all over the place. And Chris Shorb, he came in and he said, interesting topic, but I haven't begun to do that with my group. Not sure if they want to go there. For myself, I am satisfied with our current play of adventure questing without bringing other themes to the table. That said, quick question back to you. How did you bring this sort of play to your group? Was it an average group, or would you say the players were ready and desired those themes? So me, I've been doing this stuff for a very long time. I like introducing other themes to the standard, I guess what people would consider adventure type stories, because I think they just exist. Like if you think about noir, there's always a femme fatale. That's sort of a lovey-ish type story, maybe, possibly. I mean, even Indiana Jones had Marion. Is that her name? Yeah. Also the femish type fatale, not femme fatale, but you know what I mean. But like stuff like that has always been there for me. Like, I don't really wait for a group that I think is ready. I just sort of do it and see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, I think the best way to do it is it's to seed it, but not force it. So you put it out there, and if it's interesting, the players are going to latch right onto it and want to interact with whatever you put out there.
Yeah.
But if they don't, they're just going to skip over it to get to like the next room in the dungeon or whatever.
And then you'll know. Yeah.
So you take those cues. So, one group might not be comfortable with adding a romantic element to a game, but may be very interested in a little intrigue or a mystery or something like that. So I think what you just throw them in there, like a little experiment. Just say, all right, well, I'm going to try to put a potential love interest in the next inn. And if that works, you'll know because they'll latch onto it. If it doesn't work, just don't worry about it.
And it doesn't have to just be that. It could be themes of like, a family confrontation.
Oh, absolutely.
Whatever your flavor of thing is.
And the way you should do it is don't put like 4 of them in one adventure.
No.
Seed them, throw one in, see what happens.
Well, here's the cool thing about this stuff. Like if you start using these different varieties of things, then you do have a toolbox of plays that you basically have. I just mixed you have a playbook then of things that you can use at a moment's notice if you just start building them over time.
Yeah. And then later on, like as you understand the feels for your the feels for your players, the feels, you'll know which ones to sprinkle in, and then you can get fancy and put like 2 of them in, or put 2 in conflict. You can put family versus romance. Yeah, those kinds of things.
Moving on, Brett, the aforementioned Brett from Wisconsin, who may or may not be a spy. Although Sean did admit on the website, on the web somewhere, that he had sabotaged our last show.
I saw that on G+, he said.
Yeah. So Brett, honestly, if I don't do the types of things that I say, that I mentioned, my group gets bored fast. I've got to pull out all the tricks, themes, etc., or the story doesn't take for them. Sacrifice my wife and children to save the world. Love found, lost, destroyed, and found again. Selfish desires made real at the expense of leaving the rest of the group out on a limb. Gotta have that stuff or it's not enough. I think it's like gamer drugs. Once you get a taste for this type of thing, you're always chasing that dragon.
Do you know a game I think Brett would really enjoy? Part-Time Gods of Fate.
Yeah, I hope so.
I mean, that whole conflict that
it's all about those things.
Yeah, it's all about that struggle between one choice and another. I mean, we have a whole section in the GM's chapter about how to create those dramatic conflicts.
It's a good plug.
Yeah, it's a good plug, like how I worked that in. I mean, I was honest. I mean, I wasn't just shamelessly plugging.
No, it's true that the whole section is about like what are the struggles. Like it's about your balancing your divine life versus your human life.
Plus, I can also say, since I know that Brett likes playing White Wolf, that Part-Time Gods of Fate will be an easy.
Yeah, it's got a bit of that style to it.
Yeah, you'll find some White Wolf DNA mixed up in there, and then just with some delicious fate.
Moving on, Eric Simon. Issues of class, race, and gender regularly pop up in my Steamscapes games because the setting allows for that kind of historical examination. However, I always leave it up to the players what to do with it and how far to take it. I spent a couple of decades deep in the LARP world, and all of these non-adventure gaming experiences were the rule rather than the exception. In a vampire LARP, you can't swing an ankh without hitting a character with a tortured background and emotional problems. Scripted and free-form one-shot LARPs both deal with difficult personal, social, and political issues all the time. To a large extent, that has always been a large part of the appeal of that form.
So first things first, the phrase "can't swing an ankh without hitting something" is so perfectly vampire.
Yeah.
Just in the way he says that. Yeah, I have to say that when it comes to class, race, and gender, that is a set of themes I typically chicken out on.
I don't.
I know you don't. You're actually very good at it. I tend to soften the blow or chicken out on this. Like, for instance, when I ran All for One, my players, no one wanted to get into the whole gender thing.
Yeah.
So we had female musketeers.
Yeah, the gender one is the one that I sort of stay away from because
I've met your fiance.
Yeah, there's that. There's also the thing that I don't play a lot of games that have the historical basis that this does.
Correct.
I suppose if I was running this particular setting, game, whatever you want to call it, I would actually bring that up because I think that is a reason to play that game.
Yeah, and I think you hit on the key part, which is bring it up.
Yeah.
I don't think that you start running the game and then surprise the female player at your table by being like utterly terrible and sexist to her.
No, we chose to play this game. That means we had the conversation about, are we going to bring up ideas of gender equality or not, or racism or whatever.
Exactly. And I think, then you look at games like Night Witches, which is
that game is actually about,
right. I mean, that is what the game's about.
Yeah.
And even in that, Jason talks about how you can soften it, which I think is nice that he put it in there.
Yeah.
But I think everybody agrees, like, if you're going to play that game, that's what you're playing about.
Yeah. You're like, you are awesome, female Russian pilots that are dropping, pieces of railroad on top of German bunkers.
In a male dominated, especially in the case of war.
Yes.
In a extremely male dominated environment.
Yeah. So you're going to go do that cool thing, but then you're going to come back to base and have to deal with all that gender inequality.
And I would say when talking about issues of class, race, and gender, we are talking about things that are potential triggers.
Yeah.
So there is a certain amount of safety precautions you want to take, which is, of course, talk about it with your group. Try to figure out what the established limits are.
Yeah.
And, this isn't a bad thing. Like, if people are a little unsure, this isn't a bad idea to have like an X card.
Yes.
So that you have an escape hatch.
Thank you, John Stravopoulos.
I love that thing. It's funny because I don't use it a lot in games because we play and we're all very comfortable with each other.
Yeah.
But I love that it exists.
It's also that we're like, when we play, we're 4 white dudes sitting on a table or 5 white dudes sitting on a table.
I will have to say that, and I'm not proud of this by any means, but we are 4 white dudes playing at a table, and there are a lot of times that if I don't consciously work to put other stuff in, like to focus on ideas of like race, class, or gender, like I can just breeze over those. It's I think a product of how I grew up in, basically middle class America kind of thing.
I guess this is weird. We're off on a little bit of a tangent here, but I think it's worth talking about. Like my Spell Jam game that I like to talk about. The table, it's Jen and Bridget. It's Steve. It's myself, and then it's Jen and Bridget are both female.
Yep.
They're Caucasian female, white female. But my friend Taylor, he is half African American, half Caucasian, and my friend Matt is half Puerto Rican and half Asian.
Nice.
So I have like
more a diverse,
but it doesn't ever, like, I don't think of it that way.
Right.
I mean,
you weren't taking a scorecard and checking off like,
no,
I have a diverse table versus it's the group of people you wanted to play with.
Yes.
And they just happen to be of different backgrounds.
Yeah, because we're not friends because of that. We're all friends because we're gamers.
Yeah.
Right. Like that we like to play games together. That's all it is. Like that stuff doesn't, I don't usually see the color or the gender on people. because
Yeah.
I went to school when I was younger. I went to a magnet school, so I was around people of color and people of different genders and people of different, and not just African American, but all kinds.
I'm going to take out the shiny pin.
Yeah, stick it in the.
Well, I'm not only do I want to stick it in this topic, but I think it'll make an excellent. I think if we find the right guest, I think we could have an excellent discussion about this.
Yeah.
Because I have almost the exact opposite school experience that you did.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I went to a predominant. I don't want to say predominantly, like nearly all white suburban, or actually, suburban's probably too urban of a term. Rural high school, and had a very different I had a very different experience all the way through high school. And I think it would be interesting, and I would like to bring in someone who's really knowledgeable about that kind of area, to kind of talk with us and have that discussion, because I think it would be really interesting to see what molded our views.
Yeah. I think that would be fascinating. All right, pin place. So Michael Robbins. He said, I often have my group start to experience the other sides of becoming more powerful, wealthy, famous, etc. They often become landowners and get involved in politics, sometimes as puppets depending on their characters, sometimes as the string pullers themselves if they choose to get into it more. Owning businesses, having different nobles try to entice them to live in their lands to help fend off enemies and boost the economy with all the loot they haul back and spend, designing their own homes or castles, etc. I'm not big on just letting them be ultra-rich murder hobos that for some reason no one pays attention to them. I've hit them up with taxes before, but I don't often have the thieves guilds really go after them in a dedicated way. I think as a player it can be really annoying to go on quests, get loot that I feel like I earned, and then have the DM steal it back. I'd rather put in gold sinks like, you are a noble and the king is traveling through the area, so you have to do your duty and host him / pay for the visit. At least that comes with some possible political advantages that can be RP'd. I'm also not too sure about the wisdom of it all from the Thieves Guild side. You've got these heroes capable of taking out the Draw of Location X, the dragon that used to lair nearby, and fended off the Minotaur invasion. Should we really rob them and have them turn their sights on us? I think not.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, I think that makes perfect sense. And I like the idea of the gold sink. In fact, that was one of my favorite things about basic D&D, was that in basic D&D, as you went up through the boxes, when you got to companion, you bought a castle. And man, if you want to watch your money go, like, get a castle, buy an army, have retainers, like that, the same thing that happened to MC Hammer will happen to your character. You will like blow all your money on your entourage, and then you'll be broke. And so I love that stuff. I know a lot of players don't, and I actually think that that basic D&D arc to me is more interesting than the Eternal Murder Hobo arc. Like, I like the idea, like, you're nobody, you go adventuring, you make a name for yourself, you get some money, you get some land, you get a castle, you're involved in wars and intrigue, and then bigger and bigger and bigger. And then unfortunately you hit the Immortals box set, which is utter crap. But the idea was
the opinions of Phil Vecchione do not reflect the opinions of the Misdirected Mark podcast.
I'm pretty sure I'm right on that one. You Wisconsin boys can tell me if I'm wrong, if the D&D Immortals was a playable set or not, but I'm going to side on not. But the idea was right. Like, the idea was that after a certain point of adventuring, like, you were done with this plane of existence. Like, you transcend it and move on to a higher thing. Sadly, I don't think the D&D box set did a good job of that, but I liked its intent.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, you can post that one out to the community and let us know. But I'm pretty sure that no one is like, I played the most awesome, Immortals game ever because it was such a great playable game. Like, I think people tried it and were like, I think I'm gonna go back to make for some first level characters and start over.
So this past week, because we didn't have an episode for our topic for chatter, I posted that because we had the old episode.
Yeah.
So what was your gaming life like 3 years ago compared to today? Because it's been about 3 years since that episode posted.
Yeah. Well, I mean, 3 years ago, I wasn't gaming with you.
Yeah, but we will put a pin in that for us for next week, and we'll talk about it next week. Because I'm not going to post a topic for chatter this week, so I'm going to let the one from last week.
All right, so everybody get back onto that one. So just so that people know that they don't think I'm ignoring the topic for chatter, I save my answer for the show.
Yeah.
Like I was gonna like the first couple times you did it, I was gonna jump on there and put my answer in,
Mhm.
and then I'm like, no, I should just talk about it when we get on the show. Like that would be like more interesting.
So now we're going to take a walk over to the game room and let dice spill all over the place.
Yeah, so this is where people see us not actually walk over if you're watching live.
Welcome to the magical, mystical, and multi-dimensional. You're not going to catch him? Man, that's a lot of dice. I better clean them all up. I wouldn't want you to hurt yourself in our game room.
That's a big old mess.
Yeah, I'll pick them up later.
Just sweep them aside.
I may have hired some fairies to do that for me.
Oh, there you go. It's good. Just be careful. They can rarely be trusted to do just only what you say.
I did make a deal.
Yeah, which is great because they never screw people over with deals.
That's true.
Did you log that one with officially with the Sealy court? Did you?
The Unseelie.
Oh, good, because more trustworthy.
Well, I needed something to counter Brett and Sean, so.
Yeah, there you go.
Anyways, so what did you play this past week?
Aha, past 2 weeks.
Past 2 weeks.
I got one extra game in that's not on my list because that's how busy I've been. So my D&D game is dead. Long live my D&D game.
But huh?
No, the D&D game is dead. Bob, who, as we talked about in the previous episodes when we talked about types of GMs, Bob was a reluctant GM.
Yeah.
And just like we said, on the bad side of a reluctant GM, like eventually it just burns out.
Yeah.
It's pretty much what happened.
Because I was going to say that D&D is dead, long live D&D. I don't think you quite understand what that means.
Yeah. No, it's dead. So we went through a process of game selection. So we brought a whole bunch of ideas, put out some books, took a look, and after voting was finished, The Strange.
And now I want to play.
Yeah, our friend Brian's gonna run it, and I've only ever played with Brian running Pathfinder, so this is gonna be, I think, I don't think I've ever played a non D&D game with Brian, so this will be very interesting. But I also think that Cypher is a really like Rob Donahue said like a year or so ago, it's a good off-ramp game. So I think it'll be good. Like I think he'll come off of Pathfinder GMing into The Strange pretty well.
Oh, I got a thing. It just happened today. I just saw it today. I completely forgot to talk about it before. Because show notes from last week. The Cypher system just went on sale for pre-orders.
Yes.
Not a Kickstarter, pre-orders.
Yes.
So it's going to be like a 418-page book with everything that you could ever want in there. That
tells you how much money the Monty Cook Games has now that they don't need to kickstart.
Yeah, I thought they were kickstarting the other thing though.
Yeah.
The little the children's game that they're got coming out.
I think that if you follow, I think they're potentially following what Fred Hicks's model was.
Games with lines.
Games with lines you launch.
Yeah, games without that are just more standalone-ish.
You fund off a Kickstarter.
Although the Atomic Robo role-playing game is getting a supplement. I think just one though.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure by popular demand. The sales on that were pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's actually up for a game for Origins War. Thank you. Yeah, best role-playing game.
Which, remember, the nomination is a very big nod. Yeah,
I guess their voting system is different this year too. They're opening it up to people like that aren't at Origins.
I'm fine. I'm not bitter.
I'm sorry.
I'm not bitter.
Phil may have been nominated for an Origins Award for one of his books in previous years when they had the voting.
Never Unprepared, which in episode 10 I only hinted, or I just talked to you.
Yeah.
Briefly. Yes, Never Unprepared was nominated for an Origins Award, which I am incredibly flattered.
I forgot.
But I knew 10 minutes after I got to Origins and voted, I was like, wow, I'm not going to win this.
Yeah.
Because it's only voted on by the people who are there.
Yeah.
So who is going to recognize the game about system prep versus the BattleTech book sitting next to it?
That's true.
So anyway, not bitter. All
so
right.
Tell me about NBA.
So we played some NBA and we brought Tony in.
We did.
So
that's right. We were supposed to talk about
all about Tony last week.
Yeah.
So now a little bit about Tony this week. So we brought Tony in, and I will say from my point of view, first of all, I thought it went very well getting Tony into the game, and I rather liked the opening scene because I got Tony in with the group almost immediately.
Yeah, it was good. I thought it was actually really good.
I didn't waste any time. I went for the thriller movie kind of thing where Tony was trying to run away from the vampire conspiracy. He was in Amsterdam in a train station, and the vampires are looking for him, and you're looking for him at the same time. And so it was like a chase to find Tony.
Yes, that was really cool, actually.
Yeah, so that actually played well. And then we were able to get Tony integrated into the group without the "you look trustworthy. I think I'll."
I made sure that happened because Tony actually stated something about I could just have the shiny PC star. I'm like, no.
Yeah, no.
That will not happen.
Yeah, we're not. You're gonna get in legit.
So I think like the first thing I had to do was like vampires are real.
Yeah,
it's like thank God.
Yeah, as soon as you said that, like he was, then he was good, and it was good. So we got through that, and you guys got the heat off of you in Paris, allowing you guys to now stay in Paris for a little while.
Thank God.
And
then I ran into a scary guy.
Yes, I loved that scene. So that scene was a drop in, and it was a confrontation between. It turned out to be between you and the scary vampire.
So now this is relevant to people who are interested in game mastering.
Okay,
like you say a drop in. It was a floating scene that you had created that you wanted to use at some point, but you were just waiting for the opportune moment to use it.
Correct. And by floating scene, I mean it wasn't centered on any particular character. Nor was it centered on any location.
Correct.
I knew what I wanted was a conversation between that vampire and one of the characters where that vampire talks about being a fan of the work that the players are doing.
Yeah, and then offers a choice.
I'll be honest with you, that wasn't even in my notes.
Well, there you go.
That
came up. So
that was ad-libbed on the spot.
Either way.
I actually think that was ad-libbed for your benefit.
Yeah.
Because it was you.
Oh, okay.
And not because I'm alienating other players, but because tempting you with power was worth trying.
Yeah.
Because,
well, if you would have tempted Tony, he would have just taken it.
Yes. Which is why I would not have.
If you would have tempted Dave, he would have said no.
Right. And might have done something foolish like drawn a sword and tried to get himself killed.
Yeah.
And I don't know, Bob. I don't think Bob would have done it. I don't know what his reaction would have been.
Yeah, me neither. Bob's one I'm not sure about either.
Yeah, but he would have hesitated, thought about it, but I'm pretty sure he would turn it down. But anyway, by being a drop-in, all I knew was it was in my notes, and I waited for the right moment, and it appeared during the game, and I just let it happen. And it turned out to be a really fun scene because it happens in the daytime, and the vampire is in a unnaturally darkened hotel or apartment. And he's inside the apartment, and you've opened up the door, and you're outside
in
standing
the light.
up, like in the light, and the two of you are having this conversation, and he can't get you, and you can't see him to go after him. So there's just this moment where you guys have to converse with each other, and it's calm. No one's being crazy. There's a few veiled threats back and forth, and then
I think he threatened me. I don't think I threatened him.
I don't remember if you didn't say something like, stay away, or I can't remember.
I didn't.
You were a pretty cool customer.
Yeah.
But it worked great, and I was pleased. It came out nice, and I had it like for 2 sessions. I've had that drop in prepared, and I just didn't see a place where I wanted it to go in.
You didn't even make me make a stability test.
No, I didn't. I probably should have. I was so into the scene, like I lost the rules for a second.
Yeah, that's fine.
But also, you didn't actually see anything.
That's true.
So, how much of a stability test?
Not that big of a deal. I was just thinking like, wow, we played out so.
But it's true. But you played it really well. So I also didn't feel like I had to hammer it home with mechanics.
Yeah.
I also got to play last weekend before Mother's Day. I got to run Ghostbusters.
Oh, really?
I had the other group because Brian's not ready. He's still reading The Strange. So I offered for 2 of our sessions, because we play every 2 weeks. So I offered for the month of May, I will run Ghostbusters. So I ran an adventure that was in the book, but I heavily modified it. I didn't even modify it. I just ad-libbed it. I got the gist of what the adventure was about and took off with it. And it was a lot of fun. It's not a very sophisticated game system. It's super light, but it's fine. It's Ghostbusters. It shouldn't be a tactical crawl or anything like that. It was funny. It felt like a Ghostbusters adventure. There were wisecracks and then scary moments with ghosts and stuff like that. It was a little wacky.
Well, that's fine because it's Ghostbusters.
Yeah, it came off just fine. And all the cool stuff that I had gotten from the Nerdy Show, the Ghostbusters kit,
Mhm.
the ghost dice, all that stuff, like totally helped.
Well, that's
playing it.
awesome.
So again, David out in Montreal, a salute to you, because none of that would have been possible.
Yes, you are. You were a top-notch human being.
Yes, so that was a lot of fun, and I can't wait because I'm going to do it again in another week and a half. I'm going to run it again for those guys, and I got to go look and find an adventure, but I get a good feel for how these go now.
Did you play the music?
I didn't play the music.
You
I
should
should
play
have.
the
I got to
music.
slot up the song.
Yeah.
They did. They built their Ghostbusters in Lackawanna.
Oh, nice.
They were like in the industrial section of Lackawanna.
Very
they got
nice.
like a warehouse
down by those steel mills and
Yeah, and
steel mills and stuff.
and their Ecto one was a VW van, a beat up VW van because it's all they had.
Yeah.
So it was funny. So I did that, and then quickly I played a Mess of Pixel Dungeon because that's stupid game.
Stupid game.
It is stupid, but I like playing that game. Stupid roguelike.
Oh.
I played some Minecraft, and I haven't played in a little while. So that must have played early 2 weeks ago. And I've played some Star Realms. I've got some games going slow because I'm only taking like one turn a day kind of thing. But still playing that game. Like still I have not stopped playing the game. I'm coming up like 9 months on.
It's a fun game.
So it's a lot of fun. What about you?
So a while ago, I got to play some Eldritch Horror as part of a dinner party. That was fun.
Yeah.
We won.
Who'd you fight?
Cthulhu.
Nice.
Or Cthulhu.
And tell me the cool stuff, because when Cthulhu is in play, what else happens?
So Relia Rose, that was fun. You actually have to go to Relia and have encounters at Relia, so that was neat.
But you're not allowed to get a boat and ram anybody, right?
No, at least we didn't run into that particular encounter. And then directly after that was the second mystery that we solved. The third mystery was that after we made Relia sink back down into the ocean, an army of deep ones attacked us.
Nice.
So then we had to take out a number of deep ones. We were actually beating the ever-living love out of that game until the third mystery popped up. And then we lost like 9 doom in like 2 turns. But we already had 12 at that point, so we were fine.
Nice. Hey, you haven't gotten the Mountains of Madness expansion,
No,
have you?
I'm probably going to buy it at Gen Con.
Nice.
I'll probably pick up a couple of expansions at Gen Con.
Are you going to read Mountains of Madness again? Because I know you love them. I know you love it.
I might find an audio dramatization of it and listen to it.
For the record, Chris does not like it.
I'm actually reading the Dream Quest of the Unknown Cadith right now.
Oh, yeah?
Like a few pages at a time. It's really fascinating.
Nice.
Not that I use really, because LY words,
Yeah.
It's quite fascinating.
Quite fascinating.
Yes.
No, I know you. I tease you about Mountains of Madness because you find that to be a fairly slow book.
It's not one of my favorites.
I actually liked it quite a bit, but it is all build up.
Yeah.
Like it is very much all build up, and then like
we all know me.
And then it's like 2 pages of reveal.
Like you can have a build up, but you better do something. You better do something to catch my attention. No, that story pays off really well.
Oh yeah, I mean the ending's fantastic.
Yeah, but like you need to like there's actually, I believe, at the beginning of Mountains of Madness, because it's the recounting.
Yeah.
Right? It's the recounting. So there's a catch at the beginning where they're like, this is the recounting of this guy who we found who's crazy or half crazy, which is, that's a Lovecraft thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he spends the entire time when he's not narrating what happened, he's telling them like, don't go back.
Yeah.
Like you're going to go back, but don't go back.
Don't do this. It's a bad idea.
Right. It's a bad idea. I'm going to keep telling you this, but don't go back. All right. So anyway, played Eldritch Horror and
we played Nice Black Agents. I have to read through the book some more because there was a rule in there about that chase scene that I thought was not as eloquently put as I could have.
And to be clear, we're talking about the surveillance chase scene in
Double Tap. Yeah. Which is not part of the core game, so I still will say that game is one of the most perfect games I've ever seen.
No arguments whatsoever.
I played this probably my favorite role-playing video game I've played in a long time, called Child of Light. It's the writing mostly. It's a very fairy tale heavy kind of thing. It's got a bit of an open world aspect where you can fly around the map.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and then when you run into the bad guys, you go to the fight screen. It's got a fun little active battle time system in it. It's got a neat little system where you can switch your characters in and out. You can only have 2 at the map at a time, but when you switch a guy in, they or girl in, they pop in at the spot where they can actually take an action.
Nice. And so that was on Steam?
Yeah, I got it for like $5.
Yeah, you can't beat that.
Yeah, it's a really fun game. I really quite like it. I played a little more League of Legends. I played a game that Stone's a Fate game that I've been talking about, that little area control, and I found a better way to play it. Like the base game is not as much fun as with some of the little add-ons that they have in the box. In fact, it's a little too random for me without one of the add-ons where you have another stone that you can place on top of a card, and then only you can look at that card, nobody else can flip it. And you can't flip it until you take your stone off of it either. But you can only move your stone at the end of your turn.
Okay.
So you can't like move the stone to a place and wait and then flip it. You actually have to move the stone off and then wait for the whole round to come back to you before you can even flip the card. And you can check that card whenever you feel like it. Any other time you can only peek at a card, and it's one of your actions.
Gotcha.
So it's like a bit of a memory game.
Yep.
Yeah. So that makes it more of a real area control game. You can really screw people because you can take your stone and put it on somebody's card that they're setting up to flip, so then they can't flip it. So it makes the game much more tactically interesting.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I liked it a lot with that rule.
Oh, I got to tell you a thing. I was listening to Happy Jacks this morning. Did you listen to Happy Jacks yet?
This one, the one that came out today?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I feel like this is a thing we have to do. Game store pub crawl.
I saw that. I'm like, that is one of the coolest ideas I've heard.
Now
in a long
they were
time.
talking about how to organize it from the game store side.
Uh-huh.
But what if we, you and I, and then told other listeners, what if we just picked 5 game stores
and just started showing up to them,
and we went to the game
day.
stores with a couple of playable games, and we went, played some games, maybe bought a little stuff at each store or something or took turns buying stuff at stores, and then just traveled from store to store and I don't know, either took video or
I'll just bring the Zoom with us. We'll just record our thoughts when we go from gift store to store.
Yeah, I mean, like, wouldn't that be fun? Like, just driving in the car.
I think so.
I feel like we should do this. I don't know how to completely organize it yet, and if we wanted to caravan, like maybe other people would be interested in following along, or because we can't fit everyone in our car.
Well, if we want to do it soon, then we can do it soon. But if we wanted to do it for something special, we could just wait till episode 200.
Oh, episode 200, the road trip.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's like 40 weeks away. 40.
Yeah.
We could do it for episode 175.
That'll then stay in my focus. Either case, I like the idea. Like, we just pick 5 places.
What do you guys think out there in listener land?
Our rule: 10% of you on the G Plus forum say yes, we'll do something.
Which means if you're not on there, just join up and say yes.
That's kind of dangerous with just allowing people 10%
to guide our actions.
Yeah,
I think it's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
That's legit.
Yeah, sure.
We love you guys. We're gonna put our trust in.
I put my faith and trust in you. So game store pub crawl.
Game store pub crawl. It's gonna be a thing.
I'll even bring a flask with me and drink whiskey the entire day.
I'll drive.
Yes.
I knew I was gonna have to drive.
Yes. All right. Other things that I played. I played my D&D spell jam game. I mentioned it before.
Yeah.
They finally got their spell jammer.
They finally got it. Have they actually left the planet yet?
Yes, they just left the planet.
All right. So congratulations, because it's been months since you've started.
They're level 6.
They're level 6. They finally broke Atmo.
Yes. Actually, they're technically level 7. They hit level 7 last time we played, but I wouldn't let them level up because they're in the middle of a dungeon.
Yeah.
No instant leveling in my game.
Wink.
Yeah, there's none of that. So yeah, they have they fought a Shoggoth.
Oh yeah, nice.
Yeah, it would.
What's the armor class on the Shoggoth?
It's not that high. It's only 18.
Nice. Damage reduction?
No.
Okay.
What it did, it has tentacles and it's got legendary actions, and it can do this thing where it shimmers out of space time to a different place. So and when it does that, it could gibber too, because gibbering mouther.
So did you stat this thing or find it statted somewhere?
No, I statted it.
There you go.
I made it up.
I like it.
When it shimmered, it would teleport 30 feet, and anybody, because it would grab people, if it was holding you, it pulled you through the portal with it.
Nice.
And then you saw Azathoth for a second,
and then you got a little crazy.
Yeah, unless you made your DC 17 will save.
Nice.
Wisdom saving throw.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, that was the bad thing. You didn't want to be grabbed and pulled through.
Right.
So that was fun. Then they fought, on a pirate ship, and there was cannons that were shooting at them.
When do the gifts show up with the bowler hats?
They already did.
Oh, you've already have them.
Yeah, I've already had them. And then they killed a couple of them too. There was Roboldar and Boboldar.
Because that's the moment when you reach space, and then you realize that space is just wackier than the planet.
Oh, don't worry, I've already explained that space is wackier. Like, space is wacky. Like they already ran into a giant hamster. In fact, my druid saw the giant hamster.
I'm now shaking my head.
Why?
The giant hamster is the stupidest thing. And
you know what? It was really, you think it's stupid, right? The whole point is to make something that seems ridiculous scary. So when in the very first session, they were exploring the ship that crash lands, a prison ship / menagerie. Okay. And there is like there's lots of glass type things for the menagerie with different species of creatures from all over the floatojetsam, the spheres, whatever. Yep. But there's one door that is like a box, like a metal box, and then there's a door there. Somebody opened the door to a field of stars because it's like an extra dimensional space, and that's where they were keeping the space hamster. And when the space hamster saw it, it ran as fast as it could at the door, and they barely got the door shut as it slammed into it, which still knocked them back into the wall and did like 20 points of damage to them.
So what you should have done was just put it like on a like adamantium wheel. Like, so, you know, it just couldn't be
I could have.
It would have been ridiculous.
So
I'm with you. Yeah. Listen, it's not that I don't think you can sell the space hamster. Yeah. I'm just saying that it takes that much work to sell the space hamster. Yep. There are better, like, shit with tentacles is scary stuff. Yeah. Space hamster is, well, it's the fucking space hamster.
So then later, right? Because that's the first time the space hamster showed up. The second time space hamster shows up, the ship that they were trying to get the parts for to fix, because it's actually sentient, like they've been talking to it and whatnot.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Its name is it's Cheablis. Well, I stole the name.
Excellent. Which I love. I love sentient. Yeah, I love sentient ships and things like that.
They called it Chi. Yeah. They come back because it's in trouble because it can talk to one of the characters mentally, or actually all the characters mentally, because they all went in its goop, which is how it gets piloted around.
Nice. I'm good with that.
Yeah. They go back to the ship. And those two Robodar and Broldar, they're gift, but they're like giant strong guys. They try to destroy their planet. That's why they're prisoners on the ship. They're running through the ship and destroying it back and forth. So they have to show up and stop it. And they don't quite. They save the AI of the ship, Chi, but the ship, you know, is done, blown up. That's why they have to go get a different spelljammer. But the last thing that happens that destroys the ship completely is that whatever the containment unit is, that giant space hammer explodes, and the giant space hammer pops up, gets right down into their faces for a second, looks at the halfling, which its eye is bigger than the halfling, goes, and then it runs off into the sky.
Stop. I can't even look at you. I can't even look at you while you're telling me the story.
Why? Why? It's great.
I'm not. I would.
So then the druid's like, can I turn into that at some point? I'm like, when you're level 16, you can turn into a giant space hamster.
Oh my God.
So guess what? The druid is now happy.
Yes, of course, because there's something terrifying to turn into at some point.
Correct.
I can't even look at you while you're telling that story. I'm gonna next time we talk about giant space hamster, I'm just gonna stare at the floor. And it's on Martin Ralio's list of 10 worst D&D monsters. I only say then, because you are this skilled as a GM, that you should now go pick another one of the terrible monsters. Like, how about a flump? Like, how about
somebody already did that? They made like the flump. I forget on what podcast it was. I thought it was Gaming MBS that were talking about it. Somebody made a flump into like an international, or like the Archmage flump of terribleness.
Okay, well there are like 8 more of them. Like, you can find another one.
Like, I'm done with my spelljam chat for the day. But one of the things that I do as a game master, we talk about all these things that you're supposed to do and the things that you're supposed to not do.
Yeah.
All the things that we say we're not supposed to do. Yeah. I purposely do them to see if I can get around them. Like, I gave somebody a Holy Avenger at level 2.
Yeah, just to
see if I could.
Yeah.
And it worked just fine. I just gave them a Sphere of Annihilation.
Yeah, I think that's just material for yourself. Like, I think giving players a Sphere of I would. The only game besides D&D where I would hand a Sphere of Annihilation faster to players is Dungeon World.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, in Dungeon World, you want a Sphere of Annihilation? Yours.
Yeah, you want to be good at game mastering? Find out what the bad things are to do them purposefully, and then make it work.
Yes. That now, the caveat to that is if you miss, you're gonna blow up your game.
Yeah.
So, tread lightly. I mean, I know this is your more casual gaming group.
This is my game where I'm actually pushing. Like, usually I push my button. Like, I push my limits. Like the Second Sons game, my 4th edition game, that was all about how can I not even threaten to really kill a character and still torture them half to death because of John Wick, because of Play Dirty.
Yep.
In his Champions game, like, how can I torture these guys without killing them and make them feel
right? And had a character commit suicide in the game.
Correct.
Yeah. So
this one is like, how can I just be as crazy as humanly possible
and get away with it?
I
love it. Yeah. I can't look at you when you do the hamster face. By the way, if you By
Here's
the way,
the camera.
if you're only listening to the podcast, this may now be the reason to go watch the Hangout Live. Is just to see Chris do
the hamster
the
face.
hamster face. If you did that while I was playing, I would lose my shit laughing. Like the scene would end for 5 minutes because I would have fallen out of my chair laughing.
You know, you think that until the hamster eats your face.
Yeah, I get it. I'd still be laughing. Like I would be chewed up by the hamster and still laughing.
All right. Well, we should get out of this game room, and
We should.
we'll be right back as we enter the garage.
Access granted.
I like that bumper. It's shorter.
Yeah, there you go. less beep beep beep.
So we're here to talk about skill challenges today. How they work, what they do, how it all comes together, how you can use it in an amazing way.
Yes, skill challenges.
So, man, how do they work? Since I don't know, apparently.
I think you might know how they work.
I think I do. We'll
Okay.
get to that in a second.
Skill challenge is an extension of the skill resolution system. It's often used when a task is going to be more complex than what a single check will encompass.
Mhm.
And I think, I'm going to just editorialize here, but I think the thought behind it is that it's when you want to put more emphasis on a task rather than something like combat.
Yes,
Because it's really like the combat of skill checks.
correct.
Okay. So, and you can use it for dramatic tension. You can use it for race against the clock moments.
Mhm.
You can use it for longer term things like
It's weird how easy this is after we've talked about it once.
it's like as if we had a whole discussion and we're like aware of what we talked about. And it can be used for longer term play.
Yes.
Like to unlock things in a long term arc.
Yes. Yes.
And should be used in scenes where you want the game and the interactions to have more weight.
Mhm.
Because if all you need is just make a skill check, clatter of dice, pass fail, that doesn't have weight. But
It doesn't have weight.
to get involved in a skill challenge now draws that dramatic emphasis to what's going on.
And if you're using fiction to surround every time you roll that dice,
Yeah.
then it creates more fiction too because you have more dice rolling.
Yeah, so let's
Engaging with mechanics, I should say.
so let's break it down and talk about mechanics and then talk about the narrative because I want to split those two apart.
Oh, you said the magic word. Master V.
I feel like
down.
wait, I gotta get right for the camera now. One hand on the headphone, and then like one hand on the.
Don't short the podcast listeners now.
I know. I'm sorry, guys. We're excited because we put the camera up.
So breaking it down. Let's talk about the mechanism.
Yeah.
And you have an example of diffusing a bomb.
You're right. So diffusing a bomb, I'm going to let you frame it with narrative because diffusing a bomb sounds like it could just be, pass or die.
All right. So you were trying to disable this bomb that is in a building where there are lots of people in the building, but they are slowly evacuating. They'll probably all get out before the timer on the bomb actually goes off. So it's not about save or die here. It's about saving the building because the building is important to you for some reason. Maybe it's your base of operations. Maybe it holds information that you desperately need that you can't get out in the amount of time before the bomb explodes.
It's got writing on the wall that you gotta preserve.
Yeah, except you could just go take a picture of that.
Maybe it's 1920.
Maybe it is. Maybe it is.
There you go.
So then it could either then you could even if the players are clever, they could change the skill challenge. Be like, let's find a camera.
Right. So what we're talking about from the mechanism side and the narrative side is first thing you got to do is set the situation and the stakes,
Which we've just done.
which we just did. All right. So the next thing is we need to determine the skill or skills that are going to go into the challenge.
So let's talk about this. So first, you need to figure out what kind of bomb this is. So that would be demolitions or some sort of knowledge check.
Right. So there's generally two ways to approach a skill challenge. One way is that it could just be the same skill
Over and over again.
over and over and over again. So in this case, it's, mechanics over and over and over again.
I find to be a poor way to do it.
I find it a little boring.
Yes.
The other way is to have different skills and checks that occur in a sequence that kind of, I think, as you're about to say,
Will unlock other skills.
Right.
Or give you more information so that you can make a different, so you can proceed with the narrative, which will then inform whatever skill that you're going to use.
and it tells basically a story. So you got to figure out the bomb.
Which then you can, once you figure out the bomb, then you can start trying to disable the bomb, which could then change to dexterity checks because you have to get at certain wires or whatever without touching other ones.
Exactly. Maybe a will check, a little nerves.
Nerves. Yep, things like that.
Okay. So we pick out the skills, and then the GM is going to set the number of successful checks versus the number of failures
versus the
total number of checks before something happens.
Yeah, the number of successes versus the failure state, which could be number of failures.
Right. It could be something like get 3 successes before you get 3 failures.
Yes, it could be 3 successes, though before X amount of rounds passes.
Correct. That's the timer mechanism.
I don't really know if there's any other ones. No, get a number of successes before the other side gets a number of successes.
Yes, that's an oppositional challenge.
Yes,
which is also a very cool, and surprisingly, in our first version of this, we didn't even talk about opposing sides facing each other down, but that is another really good type of skill challenge, is an opposed skill challenge.
Yep. I think some of the best designed versions of this are the stuff that you find in Burning Wheel.
Yeah. Wait, let me
stuff. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Yeah, continue.
Let's get the mechanisms down. Then we'll talk about examples. All right. So once the difficulties of the checks, once you've figured out the number of checks, you set a difficulty.
Yeah, the parameters, as I like to call them.
Yeah, and that could be a fixed difficulty. It could be variable based on each check. It could be variable based on, for instance, it gets harder the further you get into the challenge. That kind of thing.
It could be variable based on the fiction.
Yep. Then we're going to make checks.
Yep.
The players will make checks.
Yep.
And then based on the checks, we will figure out how to.
We will resolve each check and then narrate based on each check that has been resolved.
And then ultimately narrate and resolve the conclusion of the challenge.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is a framework for for creating that particular story.
Right. And if you think about it, that is not vastly different than what combat is really about.
It's true. I mean, the failure state is usually you're all dead. The win state is usually, or it could be any other number of things like the bad guys get away, whatever.
You run away.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing. You're going to make checks. You're going to narrate the outcomes of the checks. Ultimately, that's going to narrate the outcome of an encounter.
Section of the story.
Yeah. So again, this is the combat of skills.
Yeah.
Okay. So games that use skill checks. Skill challenges. Games that use skill challenges.
Many? Not many.
Not as many as you think.
No, 4th edition started a lot of that stuff.
4th edition was noted for it. Unfortunately, I think its original iteration of it was kind of flawed.
It wasn't explained well.
Yeah.
Like they should have made it much more malleable, but I don't think they had I feel bad saying this. I don't think the writers had the chops to do so.
I think played it incorrectly and loved it. Like I think we were just like, we were doing something that we called a skill challenge and it was totally working. We were just making different skill checks and saying what happened and trying to get so many successes before failures. And for the scenes we used them, we were like totally cool with it.
As long as you stick the narrative around it, it works pretty well.
Yeah. Savage Worlds has a
dramatic task resolution system now.
Yep. Which is where the bomb defusal example originally came from.
The Burning Wheel has them. They're more complicated resolution system. It could be used for combat. It can be used for a lot of things.
Fate has the challenge.
Yes, it does. It has a couple different versions of it too.
Yes,
nowadays.
And actually, Ryan Macklin wrote a great PDF on hacking the challenge system, which is just focused on ways to mess around with the challenge system. It's fantastic.
Now, this is one of the reasons that we talk about the games that use them is like if you want to know more about this stuff, it's worth your time to go pick these things up and study them.
Yeah,
because they all take a little bit of a different look at them.
Yeah, or if you're approaching it from an academic point of view and you're saying to yourself, boy, I think I would, like how do different games do it? You absolutely can do that. Or a lot of times when I am thinking about games that I want to play, a lot of times I hunt for particular mechanics. Like I now have like a list of mechanics that are, some of them are almost deal breakers at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like margin of success.
Yeah.
Like I don't like games that have binary, pass fail. Like I like pass with, a degree of success.
Yeah. It's still binary games don't bother me as long as the rest of the mechanics around them are good, because failure is, whatever I feel like it is.
I think that goes to something which I'll put a pin in. But that has to do everything with framing what you want the skill check to be. And that is something I learned from Burning Wheel. So, I mean, even though I don't play Burning Wheel, a huge influence on how I run, especially skill checks, has a lot to do with having read Burning Wheel.
Yep.
Okay. Conspiracy X had a research role that was it was a long-term skill challenge that you would do between missions, and it would let you like learn stuff.
Yeah.
Which I thought was really cool, because I think when you're playing something like a Call of Cthulhu, Conspiracy X, those kinds of things, and I'm actually doing this a little in an ad hoc manner in our Knights Black Agents game. I think one of the cool things when you're trying to uncover, especially a conspiracy, is to be able to capture something that's more complex than you can immediately digest. And then it's like a plot tool for the GM. Like
that's a great thing to do. I love it. It's one of my favorites.
You can you get this big tome, and in between adventures, you get some part of it deciphered, and now it's some sort of it's some sort of prophecy. And you have to deal with that.
It can also do cool things, like as you decipher more of it, you get more information, which can lead to plot hooks and things like that. So it allows the GM to drop some things in there for the players.
Exactly, which is exactly how I hooked Tony into our game, because in the Knights Black Agents game, Dave has access
to the darknet, whatever.
The Vampire's Darknet.
It's called
Limbo.
Limbo, thank you.
So Dave has access to the Vampire Darknet.
Super cool name, by the way.
Thematic. And picked up a thread about a group of vampires moving in on Tony, and you guys figured, well, if the vamps want him killed, he's probably worth
something.
He's probably worth at least finding out why they want him killed.
Yep.
Okay, back to skill challenges. Let's talk about play experience. So what kind of experience does a skill challenge create?
Well, we already talked about it a little bit. It creates that weight for non-combat tests. It also gives us that, because of that weight, it also gives us that drill down focus. So we are taking it more of a turn by turn, beat by beat kind of way, so that you get that more weighty narrative to go along with it. Yeah,
I completely agree. I think that's a great way to put it. I think it is the kind of thing that when done properly, you can anchor a whole scene on it.
Yeah.
Like you can make a scene be about a skill challenge and make it as exciting as a combat or a chase. And
by the way, chases are subsets of skill challenges.
Exactly. Chase is actually a very modified version. I think we even mentioned that when we talked about chases a while ago.
We might have.
But yeah, the chase is a very specific type of skill challenge.
Yeah, the what is it? The thriller chase rules in NBA, they're
a post skill challenge.
Yeah, skill challenge.
Okay, so leveraging them in play. I talked about two types of skill challenges, which is the one scene skill challenge. That is, the skill challenge fits inside one scene and will resolve and basically determine the outcome of the scene.
Yep.
And then there's the multi-scene or multi-session challenge, which is like the complex tome.
So the complex tome in our example that provided information, right? There's another way to do that where it is the framework for the scenario that you could be playing. Like you need to find these particular nodes to do these things, because there's like a countdown timer.
Yep.
And by messing with the nodes or whatever, like this is an example that I had from a game that I ran where they were trying to get to the top of this tower, but something terrible was going to happen. They knew about it. They just felt the magical presence, and it was like a doom track counting down.
Yep.
And there are these crystals that were focusing the energy to make the terrible thing happen. So they could go to the crystals and mess with them.
Yeah. And
then either halt or move the doom track back a few.
Oh, I did almost the exact same thing in a Savage L Hall game. I had this large demon crystal device that was going to blow up the Cathedral of Cyrodiil.
Oh, that's right. That's the one that was killing people, right? It was sucking people's souls away too.
Yeah. So it was it had already sucked away people's souls. It was building up to explode.
Oh, okay.
And so I had created the drawing, like really crude, ugly drawing of the device, but I had like different components. And there was basically a countdown, because there was a demon lord on the top of it who was preparing the spell. And then when he was ready, he was going to tap the crystal and boom, everything explodes. So the players each turn tried different things between attacks and skill checks against the crystal to take it down before it built up.
Yeah.
And they couldn't, they obviously couldn't just shoot the demon lord off the top. Like, there was, a wall of force kind of thing
Mhm.
protecting him. So, they dismantled crystals, and they dismantled the components, and each time they did that, the track would cool down.
See, I would have been the jerk to have the demon lord on top of the thing, fighting them at the same time, so they had to choose.
Oh, he did when they got close enough. In the beginning, he's because every time he attacked, he couldn't make the rolls necessary to push the doom track up.
Yeah, I would have just let the doom track keep going because
Yeah.
I'm a jerk.
Yeah, no, for a while, he was really hard to get, because remember, they don't have magic. They
Yeah.
can't fly up there. They had to
They had
actually
to move their way up the ladder.
climb the
Yeah.
whole thing. So, for the first couple turns, they're not making any headway, and he's just pushing the tracks, just climb,
Mhm.
and then finally, one of them gets up to the top, and he stops making hits. The track stays, and then the rest of them rally to try to dismantle it. It worked. It was
No,
tense.
sounds good.
Okay, so that again, we just talked about the one scene, but let's go back. Let's go to the one scene. So the one scene, I think is, I think it's good when you want to have a non-combat situation.
Mhm.
Like, you want a non-combat situation that's going to take up an entire, scene.
Yeah.
I also like it when I don't necessarily want to be in control of the outcome of a scene, like a negotiation.
Mhm.
So if I mechanize the negotiation into a skill challenge,
Yep.
then I don't know if the players will be able to secure passage or whatever, the stakes are.
That's true.
And then it's fun for me, because it's like, now I'm playing a game too. Like, I'm rolling the dice for the NPCs, and I got,
I think it's good that you say that, but any game that I run, I pretty much don't want to know what's going to happen at almost any time
right. But I think this becomes a cool tool
to make that work.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
like for instance, you could have a scene.
It's almost like you're creating an unknown play space for yourself.
Well, I'll let me.
No,
let me
I think it's good that you're creating an unknown play space for yourself.
Yeah, and let me compare the two ways you could set that scene up. I could do a straight talk to the NPC negotiation. Let's say we're looking for passage through your kingdom.
Mhm.
I could do a straight, you're the players, I'm the NPC, I'm the king. You're gonna talk to me, and I'm gonna decide whether or not you get passage.
Uh-huh.
In my notes, I can jot a few things like, if they mention the goblins or whatever, he's more apt to let them through, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
And when it comes time, I'll hear them, and then I'll decide. But somewhere subconsciously, I may have already made that decision.
Yeah.
Like, I may have already prepped what is beyond the kingdom, so I may be more inclined to let them pass.
Which, by the way, you shouldn't have that scene. Then you should just have the king let them go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, if I want to not be in control of that, one technique I can do is put it into a mechanism like this challenge, and I can have them make their arguments while I'm making rolls to see what happens, and then I'm not in control. And the best I can do prep wise is say, if they can pass the skill challenge,
Mhm.
they go here, but if not, they have to do something else.
Yeah.
So it removes any subconscious bias,
Yeah,
I guess.
There's also the you can also frame it as in they're going to go there, right? Like that's where you're going to point them, which
Yep.
is perfectly fine. But your negotiation the negotiation is based on how much the king will help them.
Yeah. So for instance, pass the skill challenge and you get through the kingdom quickly, and the next scene you are at advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Fail the challenge, you have to go the long way around. You still arrive at the next scene, but now at disadvantage.
Or they give the king will provide you with horses or a couple of men at arms.
Sure.
Or will not be very happy with you, and then also ask you about the last thing that you did, which collect some taxes on that money that you took from the gnolls that were on the land.
Yeah, or only let you through if ...
Yeah, you do the thing.
You do the thing for me.
Yeah.
So I think framing those things inside a skill challenge is a fun way to make it unknown for yourself.
Yeah,
which is good. I think it forces you into into a space of no bias.
it can definitely help with that.
I mean, you could certainly just ad lib it and talk it out. But again, if you want to have some fun rolling dice,
Mhm.
this is a way to do it.
I think if you're going to do the skill challenge way of anything like that, multiple levels of success can help. Like if there's so many failures, then you only get so much stuff for every failure that you've accumulated. Because otherwise, like if it's a more of a pass fail situation where it's like either one way or the other, then a single roll could take care of that.
Yeah, I mean, you could easily do something with.
We're sort of talking about hacks now.
Yeah, remind me when we get to hacks to come back and talk about that, because I have some cool things I am thinking about as we're talking about it.
So we talked about the one scene. We talked about the multi scene. We're not talking about hacks yet, right?
No, not yet.
And we talked about using the skill challenge as like a framework for the entire scenario.
Yeah.
Okay.
So how does this thing go bad? Like what are the problems? Like what are the problems with a skill challenge?
I think the biggest problem with a skill challenge is, well, there's two really. One, when you put one in a place it's not necessary, like we were talking about that king thing.
Yeah.
Like if you're just gonna point them there that way anyway,
and it has no bearing.
Yeah, then there's no point. Like you're just spinning your wheels. So don't spin your wheels for nothing ever. Like you don't waste people's time. I mean, there's no point in engaging the mechanics if it's not going to provide something interesting to the game.
Right. So the skill challenge falls under the same rule as a skill check. If the outcome is not, if both outcomes, pass or fail, are not interesting, don't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, there's not really any story there, like to be made.
Yeah. If your thing is make 3 checks to open this door, then, like that's a terrible skill challenge.
Yeah. So it's another way that it can go bad.
Yeah.
They shouldn't be used just willy nilly.
If they're improperly calibrated,
that can be a problem too. Like we just succeeded super well because there's no tension there. Then.
And the challenge is over.
Yeah, the challenge is over.
Or it's an impossible number of successes, or the difficulty is set too high.
Yeah, then you should have just told us we were going to fail.
Yeah, well, because that's what it'll feel like. It'll feel like, oh, you guys are in a skill challenge, one that you can never actually succeed.
Hey, look, I rolled an 18 on the die. You failed.
Right. That's like just getting your ass kicked by a monster that's like six CR higher than you.
I just spent 3 fate points and rolled a +3. You failed.
Yeah. No successes on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That no one likes that. No. So calibration's important. And I think the hard part with skill challenges is that we are inclined to announce the number of successes. So there's no on the fly correction. Like, in combat, a lot of times, if I need to, like, let's say I've overpowered a scene, I can, on the fly, I can cut back hit points, or I can dial down AC a little, like by a couple points, and help move it back into a less what am I looking for? Overpowered.
Yes.
Situation. I could dial it down a little.
I'm just smiling because I
know you hate these things, but these things actually happen in real life.
If they do other people's tables, that's perfectly fine. They don't happen to mine.
I'm saying that
I think they've happened twice, and I felt bad both times.
In the history of my gaming, I have at times done these things. I set up an encounter that I was like, this counter is, crazily out of control. I can make a couple on the fly adjustments. But with skill challenges, this is the point I was getting to, is often we set up the whole skill challenge in advance and we say it'll be 3 successes before 3 failures. I can't fix that on the fly. So if you don't calibrate it right, there's no in-game adjustment. Like if I didn't tell you how many successes it took to win the skill challenge, and it's going kind of crappy or whatever, or it's going too easy, I could just adjust the success mechanic a little and get I could tune it for tension. I know you hate this.
It's not that I hate it. I just feel like when people talk about tuning it, they just do it mechanically, but it doesn't ever impact the fiction.
Correct.
But I always, before I tune a thing, I use the fiction. I use the fiction to tune the thing.
But I also would say that in a skill challenge, there's this implied feeling that the skill challenge doesn't change after you name it. So if you're going to do that, where the fiction suddenly changes the conditions of the skill challenge, I think it's worth having that discussion at some point.
I think I just had a revelation, like the fiction is your friend, because the fiction can help you make sense of adjusting mechanics.
Yeah, which is fine if it's fine if everybody understands that that's how you're going to run the game. because in other, like in a D20 game, I don't necessarily think people would be overly thrilled with that kind of adjusting. I don't know, because I do it in D20, I just do it in the background. You would never know it.
Yeah, but I do it through the whatever's being created,
which I think is fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
So here's the example of that thing. Like, say you're trying to break through the rocky thing to get the crystal or whatever.
Yep.
When you hit it with the pickaxe finally that one time that you get it, or every time you fail, it just drops a little bit because you're chipping away at it.
Right.
That makes sense.
It makes sense. And then you can justify bringing down the difficulty.
Yes.
Yep.
Like there are ways to do that through the fiction. Like you're hitting it and it's not, you're not really getting at it, but you're knocking off pieces off the side of it.
Right. It's cracking.
Yes.
You can see visible cracks.
Yes. I've done that a lot. Like the DC is a little lower now because you didn't succeed.
Yeah. So
because of this reason.
So tuning is perfectly fine. I think you've hit on something that's really good, is that you can tune a skill challenge. I think the softer way to do it is to do it properly through the through a narrative, rather than just mechanically like notching down like, oh well, that roll passed, really, because the 15 didn't pass the last 3 times I rolled it.
Yeah, because there was nothing to indicate that happened. It's all about setting up expectations, right?
Yeah,
like gaming is all about communication. So
well, and sometimes people put the mechanic before the narrative.
Well, they're not.
And do it the other way.
They're not doing it right.
Well, do it the other way. It's a lot smoother.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of us are taught, especially those of us who are older, that mechanic begets narrative. But a lot of us have learned from the apocalypse world model.
It's all cyclical.
Around.
Yeah, it's all cyclical to me. Like the fiction begets the mechanic, which begets the fiction, which begets the mechanic.
Yeah. But I think you're right, and I think it's a mindset, and I think it's one that is more prevalent in newer games. Fate embraces that. The Apocalypse Engine games all embrace start and end with the fiction, that kind of thing.
The better gaming that I did with D20 did that.
Yeah, I also think that's a pretty big revelation. I feel like we should go to the whiteboard and write it down.
Yeah. So
hack it, baby.
Oh, cool. We can hack it now.
Yeah.
Mixing a skill challenge into a fight. It's one of my favorite things to do.
Of course. Defuse the bomb while the bad guys are attacking.
Yeah.
Or while the train is hurling down the in fact, defuse the bomb on top of the train, hurling down the thing while you're fighting off other guys that are trying to stop you.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's a skill challenge there in defusing the bomb. There's an environmental effect that is messing with you, which is there's a train moving around.
Yes.
Whatever that does. And you're fighting bad guys.
That's like the ultimate pulp formula.
Fight that, fight. Yeah, it is. It's Indiana Jones fighting the Nazi on the train, trying to save his dad before, not train, the tank, trying to save his dad before they get away, which now it's heading towards the edge of a cliff.
Yeah. Environment plus opposition plus a problem that needs to be solved.
Yeah. So that's I like stuff like that.
That's a good formula. Having a skill challenge where more than one player contributes to the overall challenge. Like when we talk about defuse the bomb.
Well, I don't think that's a hack. I think that's almost a necessity.
Well, I mean, when we talk about things like defuse the bomb, there's that connotation that there's like one person like that, the girl is over the bomb. She's got the wire clippers and everyone else is outside the building or behind barricades or whatever.
See, I always think
that's not fun.
Yeah, I don't think whenever that situation comes up, right? Usually the guy that or girl that's in there defusing the bomb has like an earpiece and maybe an eye thing so they can see into there, and then there's somebody talking into their ear, helping them out, or I don't know what bomb this is. Tell me. Yeah.
So I think the best way to think about these skill challenges, especially when we're talking about multiple people, is think about it like a combat. Watching a solo combat
is boring.
It's not boring for the person who's in the solo combat. Mm-hmm. It's boring for everyone else who's not in the combat.
Yeah.
Same thing is true for skill challenges.
Mm-hmm.
So if you just follow that rule, find a way to involve the other players. Like you said, with somebody, you could have the hacker looking up information like, the bomb maker, he was a mercenary in West Africa, and the color of the flag, was this, and then of course, then it's this wire.
That is ridiculous, but sure, why not?
That is actually from Criminal Minds episode.
Are you serious?
I didn't just make that up. That is actually a Criminal Minds episode.
I will never watch that show now.
I'm not saying it was a good scene, but I'm saying that I didn't.
Did you not have the ridiculous moment there? Like that is just ridiculous.
A little bit.
mean, it's like you're talking about here's a
Well,
bad.
wait. All right, let me take out. I'm gonna just say this before as we go down a tangent. You have to understand something about the mythology of Criminal Minds. The story Bible for that show
Uh-huh.
is predicated on psychology unlocks the mystery. So in all cases, in every case in Criminal Minds, when you learn something about the bad guy, about their history, about who they are or whatever,
It will help.
informs
Yeah.
how to thwart them.
Yeah.
And so while that example is ridiculous, it is 100% faithful to their formula.
So it's within if we were playing a game, it would be within the context of the game.
It's the trope.
Yeah.
They stayed right inside the trope. It's an awful example, but it totally is. It's faithful to that game.
It's like that Scorpion episode where the guy is profiling the computers.
It is like all of Scorpion. Ridiculous.
Oh man, the profiler profiled the computer. Just so everybody knows, don't do that. It doesn't make any sense.
I was on board for that show, as ridiculous as it was, until the moment they figured out which hard drive it was based on the sysadmin who was sitting there. Like they're like, it's clearly in this rack. And I'm like, shut up. Like I'm in the middle of building a data center. Like, trust me when I tell you that what disk it is based on where there was a hole in the rack the day they needed to put the disk in.
Oh, that's funny.
Like there's no thought to it. It's like, well, I guess it goes here. Anyway, pin out. Okay.
Is there any other hacks or wish lists? I don't know.
Oh, I was thinking of
you said something that you wanted to remind you of.
Yes. So when you have one of those ones where it's an opposition.
Yeah.
Okay. So you can have the players winning successes, or you can have players diminishing the opposition's successes.
Yeah.
And those can be two different things.
Yes.
So
in Knights Black Agents, that is getting farther down the track or diminishing their pool of points to use.
Correct. So that is a fun thing to remember. And then I'll bring up one last hack. If your game does not have skill challenges,
it's easy to enter them into them.
It is a mechanic that is like a no-brainer to put in. Go back in the top of the episode, top of the segment when we talked about what the components were. Because your game probably has a skill resolution system, you have everything you need to frame out skill challenges.
I don't think GURPS has one to be easy to put it in there.
Without even thinking about it.
I'm not sure if Hero has one to be easy enough to put it in there.
Yeah. Would not be hard, because as long as you roll a skill, so like for instance, AD&D, it would be hard to do because there are no actual skills.
Well, yeah, but
they're saving throws.
They're saving throws.
But that's it. But I mean, there are no actual skills. But as long as you have a skill system and a way to resolve skills, then you have a way to make.
Well, you would just use your ability checks.
You would. I mean, you would have to. Like I said, you could hack it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I felt like felt like we got through that.
Yeah, we will be right back after this as we take a stroll down to the bar.
Yes.
I am here to preach from the pulpit, from the church of Marvel.
Okay. Before we ascend the altar of Marvel.
Yes.
Just because next week when the Geekery comes up, it won't be as relevant. I just wanted to note that this week marks the 10th anniversary of Leroy Jenkins.
Leroy Jenkins.
While the authenticity of that raid has been questioned over the years, no one knows whether it was staged or not. It actually doesn't matter. It highlighted something that was very real. That was very much very much is a part of the MMO world, and became a meme unto itself.
Yes.
So much so that it transcended video games and showed up in many other places, including one of my favorite episodes of How I Met Your Mother, when Barney does the Leroy Jenkins during the Martok list episode.
Yep.
To the point where I had to explain to my wife what it was by pausing How I Met Your Mother, taking out my phone, playing the Leroy Jenkins video, and then resuming, like backing up and resuming the episode. So anyway, hats off to Leroy Jenkins. I've had many laughs watching that video, and I probably will watch it again tonight and laugh again because it's still that funny.
I've been in that room before. I used to be a
big WoW player.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. That said, we have now both seen Age of Ultron 2 times.
I've seen it 3. I took my mom for Mother's Day.
You're a good son.
She's the reason I'm a nerd. So
Well, you're a good son. Anyway, I got to see it a second time when I took my son to go see it.
reason two to watch the video feed. You can see Phil headbutting the microphone.
Yes, that was me headbutting the microphone because I thought I had caught up with Chris in something, and only to find out that I fell behind.
Oh, that's okay. You're ahead in all the places that matters. Books written.
Yeah, it's impossible to keep up with you on these things. Like,
Books written.
yes, I have like these
Blog articles written.
I know, but that's only a matter of time. Like you eventually.
I mean, I got you in
will,
podcasts, but
eventually you'll catch up, and then you have like dramatically more free time than I do. So, at that point you will accelerate far past me. So my goal is to slingshot you forward and then be the guy who got Chris's start. That's my goal.
appreciate it.
That's I just want to be like a dedication in like a book at some point.
All the books.
There we go.
So tell me about the Avengers.
Anyone who has not seen Age of Ultron, it's been nice. We love feedback, blah, blah, blah. Mic drop, we're out.
Wait.
That seems extra loud tonight.
Sorry.
It's okay. Okay. If you're still listening, you have seen Age of Ultron. And safely, we know that Tony, who can't actually cancel out of a spoiler, we took Tony to go see Age of Ultron.
Yeah,
so we know he's safe to have listened.
We're good. It's
Okay,
good.
It's good. Age of Ultron. What can I say?
So it is upon multiple viewings is quickly becoming one of it might be my second favorite Marvel movie at this point.
Which I think is great. I think that the thing that makes me sad is, have you read all the negative press about it?
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it. Like,
I'm fine. We don't have to talk about it. I myself am not in agreement with most of the negative press. I mean, I read an article, 8 ways that Age of Ultron is the death of the MCU, and
I don't see how.
blah blah blah. You know what? 2 hours and 20 minutes of enjoyable movie.
I can't wait for the director's cut to come out. It's 40 minutes longer.
I said this the first time we recorded this. I think if you're the studio, you are still not quite understanding your audience if you don't think that Marvel fans wouldn't sit for a 3-hour movie.
Yeah, but they wouldn't make as much money.
I would catheterize myself.
Yeah, they wouldn't make as much money.
I'm with
I
you.
get it.
So anyway, I don't know where to say it, much like when we saw Guardians of the Galaxy. I don't have a part of this movie where I'm like, this is weak or this scene was useless.
Oh,
like I liked everything that was in there.
I got one scene.
All right, tell me the scene you didn't like.
Quicksilver dying. Didn't make any sense. Broke the rules of the movie.
Yeah, I mean, yes, I can see where you say that. It didn't ruin it for me.
It didn't ruin it. That's the place where that is you have throughout the entire course of the movie have promised us, have made a promise to the watchers that he can do these things like dodge bullets. I mean, we saw him, catch Hawkeye's arrows. We've seen how fast a bullet goes by him.
Yes.
And then he gets shot a bunch of times.
Now, I mean, one will justify it and say that he was moving. He had to move Hawkeye and the kid to safety, which is how, he had to sacrifice himself for
I've seen him pick up his sister and carry her while moving that fast.
Yeah. I mean, and, from the comic book, I mean, a rotary cannon taking down Quicksilver has never happened.
It's just that's the only thing. It's just it's a violation of the rules of the movie that you've set forth, which they didn't set it up that he could be shot anywhere, really. Not really.
They did. He gets shot when he first showed. Well, he gets shot by the police.
Yeah, but he doesn't see it.
Correct.
That's the only way you shoot him.
Right. So I think that's the only place they make that a possibility, is that he gets hit and he looks and then he goes around and he's more awesome.
Yeah, that's twice though. It's actually twice in the movie where they set up that if he doesn't see it, then it's not a big. Then he can't dodge it because Hawkeye shoots through the glass below. He didn't see it coming.
Right, and he falls through. Actually, if I remember correctly, he shoots through the glass and you actually see the bullet.
Yeah.
Travel upward, and then he falls through.
Yeah, that's the problem with that scene, is that he knows it's coming.
Right. He
can easily pick people up and move with them at hyperspeed. We've seen it.
Yep.
And they violate that rule of the movie. But that is the only thing in the movie that I didn't like.
And they used it to pay off that
the joke.
They used it to pay off that joke. You bet you didn't
see that coming.
Didn't see that coming. Yeah. All right. I'm with you. That's not, I mean, if this movie has a blatant flaw, there it is.
And it's a little bit of idiot plotting, because one, you need the city to fall, right?
Yep.
So you have that thing happen. So then Scarlet Witch gets mad and then abandons her post, which
Yes.
allows the Ultron bot to twist the thing.
Yes, no. I not to disagree completely, but she abandons the post when Ultron winds up crashed on the ground.
Well, she goes to find him.
Right, but that happens a few beats after Quicksilver gets killed, because it's Hulk who jumps into the Quinjet and pulls him out. She abandons the post to go after him, but she does go after him because he killed Quicksilver.
Yeah.
So
it's a little bit of idiot plotting. Like we have to do this thing that violates the movie to get her away from there,
so that the thing can drop, and then we can get to we can ratchet the tension back up.
Yeah.
It's a little ham-fisted. All right, so let's take that piece aside. You've isolated, I think, the weak spot of the
it's
movie.
the only one I've seen.
Right. The opening of the movie opens with your favorite way.
Yeah, man, they're beating the crap out of people.
They're busting up Hydra. And if you were watching, and I have not watched the 2-hour season finale of S.H.I.E.L.D., but if you watched the episode before,
because it's tonight, isn't it?
Right. If you watch the episodes before, you know that they know where Loki's scepter is, and the Avengers are on their way, that kind of thing. And you get a little taste of Theta Protocol.
Yep.
Theta Protocol was the thing I thought was a little ham-fisted.
Really, you think so?
Yes.
Because of did you watch the last episode of the event of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Yeah, I saw it.
I don't think that was that bad then. They did what you want. Well, we had this discussion last week.
They
did what you wanted them to do.
Correct. So just so that, because people weren't here, a week ago I said that they had better in S.H.I.E.L.D. explain where the helicarrier came from.
They sure did.
And they sure did. And that's fine. All right, so it opens well. There's a great running joke in the beginning of the movie.
Oh, cats.
With the language. And that stretches a good distance through the movie.
And they even let us know it's going to stretch a good distance, because he's like, that's not going to go anytime
exactly.
soon.
The fight scene in the Scorcovian forest is awesome.
Yeah, it's really good.
And then it has what I think is my favorite part, which is not the fight. It's the
who ordered the attack on the Avengers? Or
no.
Oh, not that joke.
It's the ending of that fight scene where Black Widow has to go to soothe Hulk.
Oh yeah.
I think that scene is fantastic.
Well, it sets up their relationship.
Yes. And I think it's very impressive that the most fragile of all the Avengers, as fragile as Hawkeye. I mean, Hawkeye and Black Widow are just agents.
Yeah, I think Hawkeye is the most fragile member of the Avengers.
He's certainly like a giant bullseye for getting hurt.
Yeah.
But that thing that they have worked out, like the sun's getting low, and then she puts out her hand and the Hulk puts out his hand, she touches his wrist, and then he like falls back into Banner. Like brilliant.
And it's a really great transition from Hulk to Banner too. It's probably one of the best ones I've ever seen.
Yeah, because you see it the other way in the first Avengers movie, but you don't really see Banner. It happens off camera in the other time. So I thought that was really good. Plus, I like that it set up a little something that they called Code Green. Like you get a hint that this happens from time to time.
Yeah, they send in the Hulk because they need the Hulk.
Yeah. And I love like when there's they're pinned down, there's the problem with the bunker.
Yeah.
They're like, can somebody take care of the bunker? And then the Hulk just like runs right through it.
And then this Black Widow's like, thank you.
Yeah. So anyway, I really liked again Ruffalo and the Hulk and Hulk Ruffalo, whatever. I really enjoy that character.
You know, all they do in these movies, I mean, not all they do, but one of the things that they it seems like they take a moment to do in every single one of these movies is to flesh out more of the Black Widow's character.
Yeah, little chunks. I mean, she gets a couple chunks in Cap 2.
Yep, and she got we saw the Red Room, like
Yes.
her version of the Red Room. Like we've seen the Red Room in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but we saw her version of the Red Room in this one.
Agent S.H.I.E.L.D. or Agent Carter?
Agent Carter.
Agent Carter has the Red Room. Yeah.
Carter.
Yeah, I liked all of that. I very much liked Ultron.
Spader killed it.
Spader's on a roll.
Yeah.
I mean, rolling right from Blacklist into this,
Mm-hmm.
Spader's great. I like him as Ultron. I like the facial expressions of Ultron, the mannerisms. I like that he doesn't talk like a robot. You know,
Yeah,
like,
man, he's got personality.
Yeah.
We saw Ulysses Claw. And we saw Ulysses Claw lose his arm.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll be fine.
So everybody who's listening, if you're spoilers, because you know you've already
You were
seen
warned on spoilers.
Yeah.
No spoilers.
So so we're not talking about this like we're explaining the movie. We're talking about this like you've heard this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Ulysses Claw thing, because he's
they're setting that up. That's
for the Black Panther movie.
Yeah.
When that pops up, like he gets like the one that takes his arm off is Ultron. And he was like, you think I'm one of Stark's puppets?
Yeah.
And then we see some more about like how much Ultron hates.
He even turns
Tony Stark.
redder.
Yep.
Like internally, he turns
like,
redder when that happens.
I'm not a puppet. And then he cuts his arm off. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry about that. I'm sure that'll be okay. And then he kicks him in the throat down the stairs.
Yeah.
He's like, don't call me a puppet, basically.
Yeah. That's I mean, that's great. And then I mean, just chunking through favorite scenes so that because we can't tell the whole movie.
No, my favorite scene.
Yeah.
What is my favorite scene? I have a favorite scene. Oh, my favorite scene is not a scene. My favorite thing in the movie is the joke with the hammer at the party.
Yes.
And then
That's
how it pays off later with the Vision.
It's perfect because you know it's a thing about the hammer.
Mhm.
You know from Avengers 1, you know Hulk can't lift it because he tries on the helicarrier.
He just drags it across the ground.
Yeah, well, he doesn't. He drags
it across the ground a little bit. He can't pick it up.
Oh, I thought he just tried to lift it and sunk into the ground. I have to go back and watch it.
Yeah, you should watch it.
But in either case, he can't lift it. And then everybody else tries it, which is fun because it shows that camaraderie. Because you know, especially you get the scene with War
Machine and Tony Stark, Iron Man. They're trying to pick it up.
Are we even on the same team? Yeah.
Just represent and pull.
Yeah. And then for a second, I think it moves a little when Cap.
Yeah, and Thor gets real nervous.
Thor sits up for a second and looks.
And then he laughs it off.
Right, and then the payoff being that Vision picks it up and hands it to Thor.
Yep.
And at that moment, everybody stops, which it's really cool because it not only pays off everybody not being able to do it, but it solves the new PC question.
Yes.
Like if this was a role-playing game, you just like the player who's playing Vision just started the game.
Yeah, and they'll ask the question too, because this might be a creation of Ultron. Like, how can we trust you? We can't trust you.
Right.
And even the Scarlet Witch is like, I can like, well, we can't trust you either because you've,
right,
all the terrible stuff.
So you have like the dysfunctional party problem, and then all of a sudden he picks up the hammer.
Yep. And
at that moment, everybody's like, okay, well, never mind.
First off, at that moment, everybody in the theater who's watching is like, all their jaws drop open.
Oh, my son gasped. Yeah. My son was like, oh.
Good.
Yeah, like he knew right there. He was like, oh, he picked up the hammer.
Yeah, that's what happened in the theater. Everybody went, oh,
yeah.
The first time I saw it on opening night. Oh my God. And then, it's great. And then everybody laughed and cheered.
I think I have two favorite action scenes in the movie. I really like the Hulk and Veronica fight.
Yes. That's a good one.
One, because I love that Stark and Banner have prepared a contingency for the Hulk going crazy in an urban environment. Like they already knew that was going to happen.
I got to remind me to tell you the really cool thing about Iron Man when you're done.
Okay. So I love that scene and the action of that scene's awesome. The scale of it is immense. I mean, to the point where they actually topple in a building under construction.
And he says, how fast can we buy this building?
Right. And I love the Hulkbuster armor with the jackhammer.
Yeah.
Go to sleep. Go to sleep. Go to sleep. As he's pounding on him.
Oh, then he hits him with I like the part where he hits him with the elevator.
Yeah.
And then he punches him in the face really hard. And then the Hulk spits out the tube and he's like, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Yeah. That whole scene is great. And then the other one that I really like is, now I'm going to forget. Oh, the other one I really like is the scene where they steal Vision from the truck, because it's Cap and Black Widow and Hawkeye and the Quinjet against Ultron and the bots, and they are the three least capable of actually defeating Ultron.
They are the three least powered.
Yeah. And that fight with Cap is great. Like he's in that fight.
Well, it's a good sequence.
And he just he can't win. And even Ultron says it. Like Ultron's like, please, and he like 3 times he blows Cap off the truck. And, all this stuff. But they manage to, in a very cool action scene, she gets in there, Widow frees up the crate
Mhm.
with Vision in it, and they air dump it into the Quinjet,
Yep.
which is ridiculous, but it's an Avengers movie.
Yeah,
It's perfectly ridiculous.
That is part of the package. That
Right.
is-
That would have happened in Agents of Shield.
yes.
Like that is legit
Mhm.
for Agents of Shield, so it was legit here, and it was perfect. And even that whole scene where they're about to argue about waking up the Vision,
Oh, so good.
and Quicksilver just unplugs everything and wrecks the unplugs all the computers.
Anytime that Tony and Steve have a fight in that movie, I'm like, thank you. We're just getting set up.
That's the setup, right?
Yeah.
Because if you don't know, Civil War Cap 3,
Which
that's-
has everybody cast in it.
yes, that's going to be the showdown.
Yeah.
It's going to be those two.
Mhm.
And I think they've even done it earlier than this movie, because all of Tony's things about he can't protect everyone enough.
Yeah, there's that
Like
too.
that's all building up to
I'm actually starting. I keep wondering if they're gonna flip it.
and have what Cap as the
Yeah,
guy who wants registration.
yeah.
I would be very surprised. Cap is very much about personal freedoms and the ideal American kind of thing. I think it's going to be Tony overreacting.
The reason I say that is because they keep bringing up the idea, like what's like Ultron says, like the righteous man, but who couldn't live without a war,
Right.
Like, and how now, like, I woke up out of that ice a different guy.
Yep. It's possible, but it is also Cap 3.
Yeah.
It's not Iron Man 4.
Well, no, they changed the name. They called it Captain America versus Iron Man. They're
Oh,
changing the name of it.
oh, nice, because they just go after that Batman Superman thing.
Yeah.
Which my son was like, "What?" when he saw the preview.
Yeah, he's yeah. Then I don't talk about that. We'll talk about that some other time.
All right, tell me about the Iron Man thing, and then we probably should put a cap on this episode.
One more thing about that, because you got to
Yeah.
do two scenes. So I got my other favorite
okay.
scene was I loved everything they did with Hawkeye in this movie because he was underutilized in the first movie because they didn't give him a lot to do. So they made him more what I expected Hawkeye to be in this movie.
A lot more wisecracking.
Yeah, and then the scene on Sokovia when he's given the speech to the Scarlet Witch, when he's like, we're on a floating city. We're on a floating city. We're fighting robots, and I have a bow and arrow.
None of this makes sense.
None of this makes sense.
Yeah.
And then he gives it the inspiring speech, like, if you go out there, you're an Avenger.
Yeah, that actually, because in the first movie, Cap makes that speech.
Yeah.
But and Tony makes one as well, because Tony makes the one to Loki.
Yep.
But in this one, Hawkeye makes the speech.
Yeah.
Plus, you discover Hawkeye has a family.
Yeah.
Hawkeye is the most normal
yes
of all of them.
correct.
That's what I think that's the other thing you learn is that where the rest of them are kind of dysfunctional personally.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, Tony has Pepper, but he's kind of out of control.
Well, he's messed up because of the New York thing still.
Yeah, I mean, he still has PTSD.
Yeah.
Cap is man at a time.
Mhm. He's also a super soldier.
Right. Thor is
He's a god.
Thor's
He's an
a god,
Asgardian god.
You know, everybody has a thing, and then like Hawkeye has a family
And a bow and arrow.
and a bow and arrow. Like he has a farm
I love his costume now, though. It actually.
with the coat kind of thing.
Well, not only that, but it's got the purple in it.
Yeah.
So it looks.
I also like that he had those packs that made more shafts,
Yeah. those look
because
good.
that's what he runs out of in the first movie.
Yeah.
He runs out of shafts. He has still the quiver, but this time he has those packs. He clicks them, and then it like makes like a whole set
like
of shafts.
six or nine more.
Yeah.
Of them, yeah.
I was like, that's good thinking.
The Iron Man thing, and I heard this when I was listening to Kevin Smith talking about on Hollywood Babylon. They did a home show. They were talking about Age of Ultron. The mechanism where you see Tony Stark's face a lot of times in when he's inside the Iron Man suit, that is a brilliant thing because it lets, in a superhero situation where he would just be flying around the armor, it lets us see him and he gets to act.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it would just be his voice.
Yeah. Otherwise, you would only see him in the Tony Stark scenes.
That mechanism makes those Iron Man movies so good because it's not just CGI, right? We get to see the actor portraying the character, and it makes that moment when he says because they flash on him, he's like, go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep, and also like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And you see his face.
Yeah.
And it sells that.
I also like in the castle in Skorkovia, he takes out the room of bad guys, and then he steps out of the armor.
Yeah, that's people complained a little bit like, why the hell would you get out of the armor in a war zone? Like, oh, we've already done the whole in Iron Man 3. He doesn't need the armor.
Exactly.
Like
And
he's Iron Man, not the armor.
He's also established that the armor is there to protect him anyway.
Yeah.
Like, it isn't as if somebody busted in that room, the armor wasn't going to shoot.
Mm-hmm.
And it isn't that Tony couldn't dive for cover and the armor would have just enveloped him.
Yeah.
I mean, he faced off against Loki
Yes.
without that armor.
Yep.
While he was waiting for the Mark 7 or whatever.
Well, he didn't have as much of a choice that time.
No, but I mean, he's like, that's a Tony thing.
Yes.
He knows he has to just buy time.
Yeah, he's Iron Man, not the armor. The
Right.
armor is just a part of his deal.
But I liked how they've evolved that. Like, he steps out of the armor and then he tells the armor sentry mode.
And it does
And then he
thing.
tells, Jarvis to scan the room for, infrared scan of the room. They find the secret panel.
Mhm.
And then he goes pretty far from the armor.
Yep.
But I was okay with that because I think that's Iron Man 3 sets up that he can do that. Yeah.
Any quick hit things? I got 2.
I don't. Go ahead.
Okay, quick hit things. Vision, awesome. The design's great.
Oh,
He gets
loved
the
it.
cape after he looks at Thor and sees that Thor has a cape. Brilliant.
Yep.
The other one, I had one more. The oh shit, I forgot.
Well, let me do while you're thinking. The
Yeah.
stinger at the end of the movie
The Infinity Gauntlet.
is Thanos.
Yep.
With the scene where he puts on the gauntlet and simply says, "I guess I'll just have to do this myself."
Tony Stark to Bruce Banner. We're mad scientists, man. We're monsters and we just have to own it.
We just have to own it. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good stuff all around.
Those 2. Okay, that's it. I'm done.
Whew. Let me tell you, this is officially a long episode.
Cool. Long episode.
If you didn't think it was, it really is.
Okay, so I just want to say thank you, all of you folks out there in listener land, for listening to us for so long.
Yes, we love feedback. And so you can reach us directly on the emails, Chris@misdirectedmark.com,
That's me.
Phil@misdirectedmark.com.
That's him.
Go check out our Facebook group
Or page.
Find us on the Twitters @misdirectedmark,
Mhm.
or go to our G Plus community, 112.
12. Yes, 112 members strong.
Come on, that means that we only need
11 people.
11 people to make us do something.
Yeah, and I will say that this has been a Misdirected Mark production.
Mic drop. We out.
And Phil knocked out the mic.
Yeah, we're still live on everything. All right. Hang on, we're live everywhere.
We are live everywhere. We're still live. Hi, everybody.
Here we go. Stop on the recording.
Bye, everybody.
And now, thank you for all watching live. If any of you are actually watching live, or just thank you for watching us on YouTube.
Yeah, thanks, everybody.
And we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye-bye.